All right, folks, welcome back to the America First AI podcast on the America First AI network. Okay, so for today's episode, I'm going to try not to yell, try not to get so worked up, but no promises. I'm going to try. But I'm noticing that everyone is starting to ask, at least this week, why is Nick Fuentes becoming so popular? Like, what is it? I mean, this guy already had a lot of viewership on Rumble. He's already the number one podcast in America. But there is something about him that a lot of us Americans are finding quite appealing. I've said on another episode that I like Nick Fuentes, that I disagree with the 10% of what he says because it's filled with hateful rhetoric. But at the same time, I don't care about his hateful rhetoric because I 100% agree with the 90% of the things that he says because he's right. So it boils down to a couple of things, right? And it's all America first. But honestly, I think the reason why you're seeing him increase and get bigger isn't because he's new to the block. It's because we've all become more extreme in our policy desires that he's already been at for nearly a decade. And that's why he's on the rise. And to be quite honest with you, the fact that you have pundits, and I call them pundits, Brandon Tatum, ABL, I can give, I was saying Benny Johnson, I can give him some credit. Was saying Megyn Kelly, I'm going to give her some credit. Her and Benny only. Sick and tired of Brandon and ABL. Putting that aside, there's something about what he was saying, what Nick Fuentes is saying, that young conservatives just want to see happen. And honestly, it's mass migration. It's H-1B visas. It's just, we want transformation in this country. That's what we want. And Nick Fuentes has been saying that for the longest time. Him and Ann Coulter. And she's been saying it a lot longer than he's been alive. That's saying something. This isn't a new message. The hateful stuff that he says. I mean, even that's not new, right? But all of that packaged in one person, okay, that's new. That's a new phenomenon. But Ann Coulter's been saying it for decades. That we want America first. Stop sending money overseas. Stop getting involved in other people's wars. Stop solving the world's problems and fix our own. This is why Nick Fuentes is more popular today. I mean, I'm a Black Hispanic Christian conservative. What? How in God's name? I mean, that seems like the Twilight Zone. Where two of the many things that Nick Fuentes says he takes issue with, agrees with him with 90% of the time. Something's happening in America if that's the reality. Something's happening here. And I believe that Trump is slow walking us to something. Don't know what it is. For those of you who are saying that we're turning against the MAGA movement or America First because we're questioning the president, what do you mean? The Democrats aren't in power right now. It's Trump and the Republican Party. They're the ones to criticize. You're the someone to criticize. It's not Biden anymore. It's not the Democrats anymore. It's you. With the power that we voted for you to have, you're failing. 500,000 illegal immigrants deported. That's something that they're boasting about. That's not mass migration. Not after 12 million invaded. Saying that you want to keep H-1B visas and bring in 600,000 nationals. Okay, so you deport 500,000 out of 12 million. But then you want to bring in 600,000? What? That's like paling out water and then adding in the same bucket size of water. How are you solving the problem? It's still a flood. You don't have to do anything to fill the tub up again. It's already overflowing. That makes no sense. But this is the crisis of our generation. America doesn't know who she is anymore because you've let a whole bunch of people in. And I got a theory on that. I don't believe that a nation who discriminated against Jews at the birth of the nation and told them they cannot vote because you are not European Anglo-Christian. You can't vote in this country. Because of that, if you weren't European, white, Christian, you could not vote. Now, they were treated better than blacks, of course. Blacks were slaves. They could live, they could work, they could own a house and property, but you could not make decisions. Full stop. You could not vote for local, state, or federal elections. What do you mean? You don't share the faith that built the country. So no, you cannot vote. Now, I'm not saying it's right, wrong, or indifferent. I'm saying that those are the facts. How does a nation who does that all of a sudden become Judeo-Christian? That doesn't make sense. You're not Judeo-Christian. If that's what you were doing at the birth of the nation, at the beginning, what changed? Could it perhaps be this never again mentality when they migrated here after the war? Could they have said never again that they had to change the faith of the nation from being Christian to Judeo-Christian, which, if you ask me, just made it weaker in its principles and faith in Christ, which made Black America more susceptible to demonic possession, if you ask me, to influence the minds of America through academia, through entertainment? You can call me anti-Semitic all you want, but these are facts. I mean, honestly, what happened to Black America? How does a group of people go overcome so much adversity to end up where it is? Their faith in Christ is what made them excel, and do well in a nation that hated them at one point. America hated Black people, and yet they still thrived. What happened? What was the shift? When did it begin? So you can call me anti-Semitic all you want, but it's a legitimate question. These were facts about our country, and now it's different. Now, I do look at what's happened, that conversation that Tucker Carlson had with Nikki Haley. I'm going to start there first because he asked him about Israel. And I thought that Nikki Haley's son, again, I didn't watch the whole thing, so I have no idea what her son's name is. But he had the best answer. What is it about Israel that, young people are just kind of put off by them and they're losing support? In some cases, they're becoming anti-Israel. And he said it's as simple as this: they're another country. That's it. It's got nothing to do with their religion. It's got nothing to do with the fact that they're not Christian. It's just the fact that you're another country. Why are we sending American dollars? Who in the name said that was ever a good idea? Why is America sending money across the globe, even to Israel? It shouldn't be sending money to any other nation. This is what Nikki Haley's son said, and he was right when he said it. This is why Nick Fuentes is popular, because he's saying it. Megyn Kelly had Emily, I'm not going to pronounce her last name because I'm pretty sure I'm botching the crap out of it. But the reality is she had Emily on, and she asked her, what do you think it is about Nick? And she said, honestly, young Americans who are America First, who are MAGA, are not abandoning MAGA. I may be ad-libbing and adding in my 2 cents, but ultimately she did say young Americans on the right want to see criticism of the right. We don't want to see Trumpism, Trumplicans, this loyalty to him as if he were a god. Like, he doesn't get to dictate to us what we think. We get to criticize him. We can offer constructive criticism. We can tell him what we think, where he's failing. Don't accuse us of being traitors or anti-Semitic or hating America or abandoning the movement. In fact, we're fed up. You don't say that you've deported 500,000, but then want to bring in 600,000 from China alone. And then want to continue the H-1B visas, when a huge part of the problem, the biggest problem that we have, is mass migration. Personally, I want the siege. That's how extreme I am on this. I'm so extreme on it. I don't know if you guys saw that movie with Annette Bening. I'm pretty sure it's with Annette and Denzel Washington, and I think Bruce Willis and the actor who played Monk. I want the siege. I want this country locked down. 12 million came in under Biden, and you've only deported 500,000. This is a problem. Kick them all out. End the visas. Stop them. They are officially null and void. Get out of our country. Get out. You have 30 days or you be deported by force. Get out. That could solve a lot of our problems just by deporting them. If you are not a citizen, get out. Legal residence is a little bit more murky. There's more laws there, and unfortunately, we apply constitutional rights to them. And here's the thing. Let me specify. Let me be clear. Because a lot of the constitutional rights are human rights. And so that we can apply. But some things that should just be American privilege. If you're not a citizen, no, you shouldn't get it. No, your legal residency can be considered null and void at any time, unlike our citizenship. I was born here. I was raised here. My mother's an American. My lineage goes really far back. My great, 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 and so on grandfather, runaway slave. I've been here. My family's been here. I'm not going nowhere. The legal resident who just got here 10 years ago, your status is not set in stone. Go home. This idea they want better for their families, but you came here to ruin my country. You think my land only a land of opportunity, not a land of Christianity. Because we got Muslims who came in here too. I'm not putting all the blames on Israel. There's a lot of nations that have a problem. Sick and tired of these pundits like Brandon Tatum as well. He goes on Piers Morgan and says that nobody cares about Jeffrey Epstein, that they only care about pocketbook issues, as if bread and circus is all we give a damn about. That might have been true pre-COVID, but after COVID shutdowns where he forced us inside, gave us young people a curfew, really had no purpose in life, and made us have more free time on our hands, we became informed. Personally, I think that's when America was the greatest. Not saying it was perfect. I'm saying we were Christian and we were great. Somewhere around the 40s, that changed. Distract us with more film and more music and more bread and circus. As long as we can afford that, we won't say anything. Well, you know what? If and when the economy turns itself around, our government gets their act together and turn the economy around, we are going to be informed. We are informed. That genie's not going back in the bottle. So no, it's not just about pocketbook issues, Brandon. The Epstein files, I do expect it to be redacted. I just do think there's a bomb in there. I totally agree with Anna Kasparian when she said it. I think there's a little thing in there what's going to give Pam Bondi the ability to redact a whole bunch of stuff in there. This is going to tell us if we're a nation under blackmail. Period. Full stop. And that's a big deal because it tells us why you are all not doing what we're telling you to do when we vote you in, when we send you to Washington. You're going against the grain. Here in America and around the world, you're completely denying and ignoring the will of your people. Why? Is it because of the Epstein situation? Is Epstein the linchpin to pull that brings the whole thing down? And I'm not just talking about the United States of America. I'm talking about, is this the fall of the West if you pull that linchpin? I'm starting to think so. Personally, I don't think America should have the responsibility of taking care of the world. Who died and gave us that responsibility? It should have never been ours. People come here, make life more expensive for us Americans, destroy the value of our dollar. But then when they send the American dollar back to Timbuktu or wherever the hell they're coming from, the dollar is stronger in, excuse my French, shitty countries. I had family that went to South Africa. Gosh. Gosh. Our dollar went so far there. I mean, this is why you're seeing a lot of black people move into South Africa or moving into African countries. I mean, honestly, they should have known better. Africans are not black. They're a whole other culture. They don't like you black people. I don't know why you think white man is the boogeyman. But Africans don't like you either. Don't bring your BS here. Don't bring your gayness here. Don't bring your I am woman, hear me roar here. And then get mad when they treat you a kind of way. When you go there. Stop. But our money goes far there. Our money goes far in the Middle East. Why? Why is our dollar shitty here, but it goes far in these other countries? That's a problem. It should go far here. Stop sending it all over the place. Stop taking out debt for other people. It's like we're co-signing debt for others. Why? We've been doing that for decades. This is why we're trillions in debt. This is the problem. This is what Nick Fuentes is talking about. This is why he's popular. This is why America First, particularly 30 and under, are listening to him. And why we got beef with Trump right now. Now, you can call it a disagreement, you can call it a rift, you can call it whatever the heck that you want, but this is our problem. Regime change wars, this is a bigger deal for us millennials. And I'm going to tell you why it's more of a big deal for us millennials than Gen Zers. We were already born when 9/11 happened. Like, I remember being 6 years old, being in my house. We were living in Queens, New York at the time. I believe my mother was on vacation. My godmother comes over to the house and she's in a panic. Where's your mother? Where's your mom? Where's your mother? I'm like, she and Daddy, she and my dad are on vacation. That's where they are. They're on vacation. She's like, they just knocked down the towers. Me and my sister, being so young, standing at the steps because we come down the stairs. We're not all the way down. We're like standing midway on the steps, and we're like, no, they didn't. Because when you're that young, when you're a child, you look up to those buildings. It felt like only God could build these things. Like only a God can do this because of how magnificent these buildings are. No, they didn't. Yeah, they did. So we were children. We remember that day. And for 2 decades, you raised us. And with a bunch of, what's the best word? With a bunch of oxymorons, to be quite honest with you, because when you're coming up after it happens, they're all like, we're going to war. We're going to the Middle East. Everybody was for it. Everybody was okay with it. It was okay to hate Muslims then. And that was in the early 2000s. You hit 2009, 2010, you're Islamophobic. You're this, you're that, to still look at them a kind of way. But they did come down at the towers and they did attack the Pentagon. And civilians did take over the plane. Personally, I do think Bush shot it down. I don't know why he's lying about it. Couldn't let them hit the White House. I think shooting them down would have made sense. They can't take down the White House. So I don't know if that's true or not, if civilians did take out the hijackers on that plane. Personally, I think Bush had them shoot it out the sky. That just makes sense to me. The victims' families could be angry with Bush, and that would be fair. But I think he shot it out the sky. They can take any other building in America, but not the White House. It's more than just a symbol here in America. It's the tower. It's the lighthouse that lights the whole Western world, the whole free world. It cannot go down. So I think that's generally what happened. But this is what was happening. For 10 years, you're telling us we're going to war and it's okay to hate Muslims. For another 10 years, you're telling us we can't hate Muslims. It's Islamophobic. You're being this. You're being xenophobic. You're being this, that, and the third. Let's let more of them into the country, even though terrorism is still on the high. All the while, you're still in the Middle East fighting this war. But then as Christians, we say to ourselves, well, we can't have enemies for the rest of our lives. We just can't do that. This is unsustainable. At some point or another, this war has to end, and we have to forgive them. Oh, well, no. You can't forgive them. Forgive them and never forget, but forgive and move on. Get out of their business. This is where millennials are at with the Middle East. We're telling Israel, we understand you have plight, you have problems, but your problem goes back millennia, several millennia. Problems that the United States cannot solve. That is a Jesus problem to solve. And we're not him. We're not. But it has been 2 decades since that attack. It has been. And we're not getting involved. We're over it. We are over it. We're going to stay out of your business. If you two want to kill each other, that is your cross to bear. And for you to figure out. But we're staying out of it. We're not trading with either of you because you want to kill each other. And let that be the standard. For as long as you want to kill each other, is as long as you're not dealing with the United States economy. I think that's fair. Now, that's me saying this, not Nick saying this. Because I don't do the blood guilt and the blood libel crap. I don't buy into that nonsense. I think we should forgive them and never forget. Stay out of their business. Don't come here with your nonsense. You two want to kill each other. Your cross to bear. Don't ask us to pay for it. Don't ask us to do that anymore. Israel, don't. And this is why what's happening in Venezuela with Maduro and what Trump is up to, this is why this is bothersome. I think mostly for millennials. It's because for 2 decades, you kept pumping us through oxymoron messaging. Hate the Muslims, don't hate the Muslims. It's okay to bomb the crap out of them. It's not okay to not want them in your country and to be against this, all the while still fighting a war in the Middle East on behalf of other countries. This doesn't make sense. Math ain't math, but we bought into it. And this is why we're seeing a shift amongst 30 years old and down, millennials and younger. Because there are some millennials left on the right who are America first. I'm the youngest of them. I'm 30, the youngest of the millennial generation. And there's a lot of older ones who think what I'm thinking. Stay out of the West, stay out of the Middle East. And we want to tell the rest of the East, stay out of the West. It's time for America and Europe to be all gates of Vienna. Get out. Go the siege. Shut this country down. Shut down immigration. Kick everybody out. If you don't have proof of citizenship, get out. And the only leniency is to your elderly, because there are still some people who were born during the time of the Great Depression, who were born to midwives because they were black born in the South. You got to offer some leniency in that regard. But other than that, kick everybody else out. What the hell are you doing, Trump? This is our problem. This is our plight. And we have every right to say that. Brandon, ABL, don't call us anti-Semites or call us traitors because we take issue. I think it's totally fine that we have an issue with Trump, that we say something. Personally, I think the reason why we weren't dragged into a war with Iran is because we were all saying something. The silent majority is silent no more. We are speaking up. We are saying something, holding his feet to the fire. Don't you dare let them drag us into this crap. And we didn't. No, you were being paranoid. No, you were just wrong. No, he didn't, because we said something. Right? The robber didn't come into my house because I went buckshot, buckshot. That's what we did. Keep doing that, even when it comes to Venezuela. Personally, I wish you were handling it differently. I wish you were doing it a little bit more like the Cuban Missile Crisis. Now, I'm no history expert. This is what I was taught in public school, so forgive me if this is wrong. But as far as I'm concerned, we drew a line in the sand, ocean floor, and we told Russia, cross this line and it's war. Do that with everybody else. Cross this line, like the nose of your sub, your ship, your plane, anything crosses that line, and we're bombing it. That gives them an opportunity to back off, to turn around. But we're going on the offense. You're protecting the home base by letting them know you get even this close, which is still very, very far from us. We're bombing you. Give them the opportunity to make a better decision. But don't go with the regime change. Again, I think that's a bigger problem for millennials because we were the ones who got caught up in that nonsense. But my gosh, decades of mass migration. H-1Bs. I believe this was a bill passed either in the 70s or the 90s. I believe it was the 90s. It was supposed to be temporary. Well, temporary became permanent. And I'm pretty sure it was a Democrat that did this because you saw what they tried to do with the subsidies from COVID. They tried to make that permanent. You guys tried to do every temporary thing permanent. Stop that. Get rid of these H-1Bs. This is why I'm liking Marjorie Taylor Greene. Now, to those of you who made comments from previous episodes and told me not to trust Marjorie Taylor Greene, that she isn't trustworthy, that she said this, that, and the third, that she'll vote with the Democrats, to that point specifically about how she'll vote with the Democrats. Here's the thing. I don't care. I do not care. We're not up against the Democrats or the Republicans. We're up against the Uniparty. We are up against the military industrial complex. And for those of us on the right, and most of you, I'm sure, who subscribe to this channel and watch this content, let's be for real. We're MAGA. We're America first. We're not for idolizing a man or a woman. It's the mission. We have one leader. We have one king. It's Christ. He is who gets our loyalty, our faith. We pray to the best angels of our leaders. We hope for the best, but we prepare for the worst, which is what I'm doing with Marjorie Taylor Greene. But I believe she's sincere because her actions have shown that. Now, you guys can say she's done and said things in the past. Yeah, I'm sure she has. Totally sure she has. I don't know. Listen, she's on my radar now because Trump is disappointing me right now, and she's speaking out against the disappointment. She's speaking out against the man who's disappointing me. I said in another episode, what Trump is doing, paying so much attention to the rest of the world, feels like death by 1,000 cuts, and he's the one holding the knife. That's how it feels. And she's the only one saying, hey, you're cutting us. That's how it feels right now. And so I'm not saying that we don't pay attention, that we don't acknowledge that she's done some things or said some things. Again, I don't know. So I appreciate you guys telling me what she's said and what she's done in the past. It makes me more knowledgeable. But that tells me we got to pray harder to the best angels of our leaders and hope for the best, but be prepared for the worst. And all that proves to me, with all your comments about how you're saying she's going to betray and she's going to do this, all that tells me is that I am right when I say that our faith is in Christ, and then we fight on for the mission, not the man, not the woman, the mission, which is what? Christian Americanism. That's it. That's what this country should be. It's what it was. It's what it should be. This is why Nick Fuentes is on the rise. No one is criticizing the presidency from that perspective. Granted, Nick does say a lot of stuff, 90% of which a lot of us agree with, particularly young people, 30 and under. I agree with 90% of the things that he says. And this is why. Our resources are being raped, but our money goes to other continents and it does better there. That doesn't make sense. Why? Been complaining about Obamacare for 10 years, but you haven't had a plan ready for when Trump took office a second time? Come on. Why is it taking you this long to figure that out? You know that the debt is a crisis. You know this, and yet you keep printing money. Why? This is a problem, and this is what Nick is saying. So for Brandon Tatum and ABL to completely dismiss that, for the Mark Levins of the world and Ben Shapiro, personally, I want his ass in Israel. He's already pissed me off before all of this with Candace, before he fired her, before any of that. I found out literally around October, like right at about a month past October 7th of 2024. Month past that, like, let's call a spade. The video was going viral of him saying, if America abandons its support for Israel, he'll no longer support America. From that moment onward, I didn't trust Ben. And from that moment onward, I wanted him to move. I wanted him deported. Didn't even care if he was an American citizen. That statement alone, with the amount of influence he has as being the so-called counterculture to the left, you need to go. That is abdication of American citizenship, in my personal opinion. I think he needed to go a long time ago. This Megyn Kelly thing didn't have to happen. His comments about Tucker Carlson being a Nazi didn't have to happen. That's all I needed to see. You're not loyal to us unless we're loyal to a country that I don't even think he was born in. I think he's born in America. So what is it? This idea that people have that we are biblically responsible for Israel is a lie. We are not. For the land that is Israel. For the nation, the government of Israel. Why are we responsible for them? And for you to withdraw your support simply because we don't want to support their government and their country anymore, you've abdicated your citizenship just by saying that. Goodbye. Go. Personally, I don't understand how Brandon Tatum said, as a Christian black man who walked through Israel, he was getting spat on. But you want to support Israel nonstop without criticism? The math ain't mathin'. That's why I think he's collecting $7,000 per post. But honestly, this is why Nick Fuentes is on the rise. And this is why my content is the way that it is now, right? I mean, even the cartoons that I'm producing, make sure you're heading over to the Substack here. For those of you who are listening to this on YouTube Music and watching this video on YouTube, I want you to understand, head over to Substack. It is free to subscribe. So you can just watch the Disavow Gala. Whatever I don't see in real life, I'm throwing it into a narrative. And I've literally created archetypes for Tucker Carlson, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Megyn Kelly, and Ben Shapiro in this one mini series. 2 episodes are out right now. I've literally taken these archetypes and I threw them in a narrative. Simply because I'm not seeing certain things happen in this country. But again, this is why my content is the way that it is, because I have gone extreme. I mean, again, I'm a woman who wants the siege right now. I want such a mass deportation. That 500,000 ain't cutting it, Trump. It's just not. I don't want baby steps to transformation. No, I want, jump a building in a single bound type change, transformation, steps taken toward transformation, I should say. That is how much I want to see happen. 12 million came in under Biden, and that's me being conservative because we know there were gotaways. There were some numbers that weren't caught in, but let's be fair. Let's just say it was 12 million. 500,000? And there's 1 month left of this year? That's not a lot. Because let's assume that he only gets 500,000 out per year. Okay, so that's 2 million gone. What about the other 10 million? Because not all of them are the so-called worst that he said he was going to target. Enough of this pandering because you want to see Republican leadership for the next 20 years. On the contrary, Mr. President, I'd rather you be hated for the next 4 years and save America than the Republican Party be liked for the next 2 decades. I don't give a damn. There won't be a country in 10 years if somebody doesn't make the decisions today that make them unlikable, like deporting everybody, null and voiding every visa, shutting down every form of immigration. Okay, yeah, you did the border. Okay, the southern border is secure. Okay, the northern border is secure, but immigration is still happening. H-1B visas are still happening. You want to bring in 600,000 nationals. Enough of all of that. Be rid of that. Again, this is why Nick Fuentes is on the up and up, and why my content is more like this, and why this is what I talk about on my podcast. Because somebody's got to say it without the other 10% of hateful rhetoric. There's got to be another Ann Coulter that's a millennial or a Gen Zer that doesn't sound like Nick Fuentes, but somebody's got to say it. And again, this isn't about fully supporting MTG. I like what she's doing. I like what she's saying. I like the bills that she's bringing to the table. I like the fights that she's having. This doesn't mean I put all my faith and trust in her, 100% of it. All of my faith and trust go to my king, and I pray to her best angels that she stays the course, as we're doing with Trump right now. We are praying as hard as possible that he stays the course and refocuses all of his attention back on domestic policies, that he stops pandering with these half-assed policy ideas. Enough with the worst first. Enough of that. 50-year mortgages. I gotta say, you know what? And I gotta give credit to Benny Johnson for this. I did see today that he did post, I believe he posted to X, that he is actually working on an initiative to lower costs and make the American dream more affordable as far as buying a home. That starter home should not, our first time buyers should not happen at 40. Shouldn't happen at 40, that he's working to make something happen sooner rather than later. I'm hoping that this isn't just in his state of Florida, that he's actually working at the national level. But again, I don't have any faith in anybody except for Christ. And I'm praying to Marjorie's best angels, but I'm expecting Mike Johnson to go against America first. And I'm expecting Trump to go against America first because the past is prologue and history rhymes but not repeats. He's going to pull something. He's going to call somebody a traitor, going to say something demeaning about somebody not getting married, even though their first wife died. I mean, I know that's me just going off. He said that apparently about, I believe it was Thomas Massey. I thought, okay, Miss Piggy didn't bother me. But calling out the man for not marrying fast enough after, his first wife died, I thought, okay, that literally had, no, in my opinion, had no tact, had no taste. I thought that one was a bit low. But putting that aside, this is why content like this is going to be on the up and up for the next 4 years, and why you're going to see people like Ben Shapiro, Dave Rubin, another guy I do not like. And I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say it, and I don't care if it comes off, how it comes off. Dave Rubin is not a conservative. He's a Republican who's common sense. But when it comes to conservatism, it's about conserving tradition. What's traditional? Heterosexual Christian marriage. Children of being born of a heterosexual Christian household. Dave Rubin is neither heterosexual nor is he Christian. And clearly not him nor his husband could give birth to his children. He got a surrogate to give birth to twins. Personally, I don't believe Dave Rubin and his husband should be raising those twins. As a twin myself, I'm concerned. Twinkies for days. But what's going to happen with these kids? Are they going to be raised atheists? And let's call a spade. You show me an atheist, I will show you their God. Atheists are pretty much pagans. You point out an atheist, I'll point to you their God. Period, full stop. Dave Rubin is not a conservative, so I don't appreciate him trying to clap at Megyn Kelly at all. Don't appreciate it. Don't appreciate him calling us anti-Semitic when all we're saying is that we're a Christian nation here, Christ is king, and that is a law that should reign supreme of the land. Here, Christ's law reigns supreme, or at least it should be. That's the outcome that we want. But I feel like he's only advocating for this Judeo-Christian society because it does allow this, I'll say unorthodox to be polite, lifestyle of his. Because if we were Christian, that lifestyle would be criminal. What he's doing, how he's raising those children would be criminal. They would be taken from him. Him and his husband. This marriage would never have happened. Marriage would have remained sacred between a man and a woman that only the church could bestow. This is what a Christian America sounds and looks like. So no, he's not a conservative. I really had to get that out. But the reality is that is the world which we want to live in. That is the world that young Americans who value America first want. And if the only way to get there is for a president and for Republicans to be hated by others for the next 4 years, then who cares? You only need 4 to save it. Stop thinking about the next presidential election. Stop thinking about 10, 20 years. People keep saying 16 years of Republican leadership and we can save America. You know what will save America? Kicking everybody who isn't a citizen out. Rounding everybody up. Stop getting caught up in these lawsuits. Really, don't care. Do not care. What are your authorities under the Constitution, Mr. President, and start doing it. We want, again, a single bound, leap kind of steps. That's what we want. That's America first. That's what we're looking for. It's nice to see everybody asking that question, why is he on the rise? I know that's how I started this, and I know you guys are probably thinking, oh, she went all over the place again, but, I like shooting from the hip. I like, I do plan to some degree. I know what I'm going to talk about. I do mention the different topics and things of which that I want to bring up, but I don't do that mass production that I once did where I'm sharing screens and all of that and overproducing this content. I don't like it, especially because a lot of my time goes to my cartoons or my full-time job. So I just want to be able to tell you guys what I think and how I feel. Honestly, shooting from the hip. And you're going to get, literally, this podcast is going to be more of that. Because I don't think that there's anybody that's saying it other than Nick Fuentes without all that extra. No, I can't promise you I won't get loud. I can't promise you I won't get angry. Can't promise you that I won't get, revved up, because I probably will. But what I will say is this, and this is where I'm going to end it because, I've had technical issues. This is not the first time I've actually recorded this episode. Already recorded one before, so I'm already ready to just kind of have my beer and enjoy my Friday. But I will end it here, right? On a glass half full kind of a thing. The situation that we are in with the leadership of America First and MAGA is, it's not a war yet. I do think that it could get worse if people like Mark Levin and the rest of them don't get dealt with. People like Ben Shapiro, Mark Levin, a lot of these people, if they don't get dealt with, it's gonna get worse. But to stay on a glass half full, considering the fact that America was almost dragged into a war with Iran because Israel was egging it on, and we said no. The silent majority was vocal. Again, I'm a person who thinks that Trump only gave us a better and more marketable name. Some of us who weren't a part of that silent majority and then became it, or recognized that we were actually conservative, because that's what happened to me. I was raised conservative, didn't know it until Trump ran for office the first time. But we said no. We barked. We stopped. We went buckshot, and we weren't dragged into a war. That tells me something. That tells me that we do have influence, that we do have some authority here. And again, for those of you who are saying not to trust Marjorie, I understand why you're hesitant. Don't get me wrong, because the way you're feeling about Marjorie is how I'm feeling about Trump. Pray to their best angels. Hard. Let's get Trump refocused domestically and not so focused on the world. And keep saying something. Keep saying it. Because that's what stopped us from being dragged into a war. We weren't wrong. We weren't being paranoid. We were prepared for the worst. And we told him that. And I think it's because of that we are not in another war with the Middle East. That we're not anyway. Israel and Iran and the rest of them, they're gonna keep doing this for another millennia. I mean, to quote Benny, they've been doing this since Abraham. It's not our fight to fight. It's not our chaos to bring peace to. That's me saying it, not Benny Johnson. He said this goes back as far as Abraham. But you guys get the drift, get the gist, right? That's the glass half full. And I want to end it there, because if I don't, I can keep going and I'll get myself angry and my beer will continue to freeze in the freezer. But that is my time, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Friday night. Enjoy your weekend. Prepare for the Thanksgiving holiday, because Lord knows I am. Can't wait. Preparing my stomach for it. So excited. God bless you all. And until next time.